Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy. Hello, Kelly. Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
I am
super
too.
Excited.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're about to share an interview with the person that has taught me more than I learned in my master's degree.
Changed my business.
And she hasn't even charged us for the information. I just attend things that she's speaking at, or I just talk to her in passing, and I'm like, oh my God.
Every time I see her, I learn something new, which I think is the whole world of social media.
Yeah.
It changes all the time.
So I was just reading, business.com says that 77% of small businesses use social media. And I know from our conversations in Bossy, I would estimate that 90% of that 77% have no idea if they're doing it right. But we know that everyone's online, which I looked it up, and Google says that 73% of Americans are on social media platforms and spend at least 2 hours a day on them. I want to meet the other 23%.
You're right.
Wonder how they're surviving
Exactly.
with zero social media. And I want to know how they're surviving. But to reach the 77% of people that are online, small businesses need to know so much about the internet and algorithms and content creation, and it drives me insane. So I always turn to Hope, and I'm like, Hope, help. Hope, help.
Hope help. And recognizing that those trends are always changing. So having a hope in your life is so important. I was doing some research as well. And from rockcontent.com, 61% of consumers are relying on recommendations for digital influencers to make their purchase decisions, which is huge. And since this is relatively new, I mean, talking of the world of how long social media has been here, digital influencers are pretty new. So if that many people are already making their decisions based on that, it's only going to get bigger. And I love it because now I actually understand what it is. Because when I first heard about Hope, who runs It Girl Friday and the local influencer tour, I was like, all I know about influencers is just the silly memes that are out there, and there's some great Instagram pages where they're just making fun of it. So I just had no idea. And now knowing what she does and how new she's really broken into the market, because it's really still new in Rochester, but it's huge everywhere else.
Her understanding of social media and how to stay ahead of it is fascinating. She just has an innate understanding, and it's not innate. I mean, she works so hard for it, but she just gets it.
Yeah.
And then was able to turn that knowledge into building an online brand on top of it. So if you follow Hope on her pages, she is an influencer. She does sell. So you'll see a lot of her sales pitches, and she always says, I'm getting paid to do this.
Right.
But when you talk to her or you attend her events or her speaking events, which she will be speaking at Focus and Fortify in March in Rochester, New York, she shares those tips and tricks on how she stays ahead and what's happening. And I think every time we see her speak, something new is happening, or there's a new way to get ahead of the algorithm. So I love that about her.
Me too. I've used a lot of her stuff. I know we talked about it on the last episode a little bit with our free-spirited cocktails, and I've been able to really hone in and get so many followers and so much engagement, whether in person, online, because of the things that I've learned from her. And now I can share that with other people. Not as well as her, because she is literally made to do this job. She's so engaging and fantastic. But I know that for me, it's been great to be able to kind of share some of that stuff with other people with actual data from how it's changed my business.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love that we're going to learn how it's different. Social media marketing and influencers are not necessarily the same thing.
Nope.
And how and when you're going to use each, which I think a lot of people don't quite understand. So I'm really excited that she's going to share that with us today.
And how and when to use all of the different platforms, because there are so many. We have to get TikTok, and I got to get on TikTok and figure that out.
The tick and the talk. I need a high schooler. If any high schoolers are listening, call me, please. Figure it out for me. The hashtags. I always said I was going to put my kids in charge of it, but my kids have been raised kind of anti-tech for the most part. I mean, they're not hippies and off tech completely by any means, but my 14-year-old doesn't have social media. So I'm like, oh, now I have teenagers, like they can create the content for me, but they don't actually know what's out there and what they're creating because they don't really engage with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, well, I don't really want you to engage with it. So I guess I'm just going to have to keep figuring it out myself.
As we do. As small business owners, every day we just keep figuring it out.
Figuring it out and then ask for help from people like Hope.
Yep, absolutely. And so, yeah, we're excited for you to listen to this episode, watch this episode, and learn all about Hope and what she does and learn about her interesting pets. It's pretty interesting, something you probably have never heard before. So definitely keep listening.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kelly,
the host of Getting Real with Bossy, the real, raw, and honest podcast about small business ownership. With our experience, 9 businesses and over 25 years, we continue to bear it all and share what we wish we had known.
We move past the must be nices and start getting real. Come along as we interview small business owners and get the true story. Hi, Hope. We're so glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Welcome to the basement studio.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
It's very cozy.
Excellent. Could you start by introducing yourself and your businesses?
Yeah. So my name is Hope, as you just said. I have kind of 3 businesses. I've got Friday LLC. That is the federal trademark. And then underneath that, there's like 2 sister businesses, IGF Marketing, that does social media marketing, content marketing, and then local influencer tour, easier just to say lit agency, which is influencer marketing, specifically for small businesses that might not be able to afford it otherwise. So we cater to small businesses that need like cost effective, because it can get expensive.
Yes.
It can get pricey.
I love it.
I have so many questions.
Ask them all.
So let's just start with, what are 3 things that small businesses are doing wrong?
We're diving in.
I just figure let's start there and then we can go how we got started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one is
I'm writing these down for
paying
myself.
for followers and engagement, likes, comments. It drives me up the wall. I have so many clients that I have to say, stop doing this, because
like all those messages you get in your DMs. Like,
well,
oh, hey,
so
you want 1 million followers?
Yeah, exactly. And people buy into it. And the thing is, I think businesses are thinking, and I understand this logic, if they have a whole bunch of followers and a whole bunch of likes, then people are going to see that and say, oh, they must have a great product. They must have a great service. That can be the case sometimes, but for the most part, people aren't dumb when it comes to, if you have 600 likes on something and 0 comments, people are going to know you pay for that, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a whole bunch of followers and no engagement, people are going to know that you pay for that. And in the end, what it does is it damages your authority on a subject. People are going to think, well, they don't know enough on a subject to be growing organically, so they have to pay for their followers. And that loses your audience's loyalty too. And you're not getting conversions from that, right? More followers does not equal more conversions. It does not equal more money, right?
Well, and I think people think that like the algorithm is, if you have more likes and more followers, you're going to be seen more.
Right. And that's not the case.
No. So Instagram's kind of wise to this stuff, right? So you can pay for views, you can pay for things like that. But the more things, social media is already changing. So the more often something happens, the more Meta will pick up on that, which, Meta is Facebook and Instagram, right? And it will change and rework things. So, for example, Instagram allows 30 hashtags. And it used to be you wanted to use all 30 hashtags. But then people started throwing in hashtags that had nothing to do with their content. They started just putting in things that they think would go viral, like hashtag viral, hashtag
I see
trending,
that a lot.
hashtag. And Instagram's like, this isn't helping people find what they need.
Right.
So now you really want to stick to, like 6 to 8 hashtags that are really for your content to let
I
Instagram
actually
know.
now, because of the last time I heard you speak on this, look for hashtags with less uses.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to be buried.
Right. And I would never really thought about that. So I'd be like, oh, support small business.
Yeah.
But like support small business has like 10 million uses.
Right. So then you get a little crafty, like support small women-owned business. I haven't looked that up, so don't
Right.
don't
Right.
But
I'll be like, support small business Rochester, because
Right.
then you're like targeting the people who are in your area,
Right.
or
exactly. Yeah, small businesses want to stay within like the 250,000 or less range, maybe 500,000 sometimes. It never hurts to throw in one hashtag or that's like used a million times, because you never know what's going to pick up.
Right.
But in general, yeah, you're right. You want to use, you don't want the hashtags that have 5 billion uses, because you're just going to get buried.
Right.
So
unless
her
you're selling a
first tip
donut.
just taught us like 10 things.
Yeah. So in 5 minutes, you've already got your money. Not that you pay to listen to this, but you've got your time's worth, because time equals money.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I would say another thing that small businesses do, you said 3 things, right?
Sure.
So the second thing is there are a lot of small businesses that want to use content creators that are starting to realize that, influencer marketing is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So they do affiliate marketing. And affiliate marketing can be really great for a lot of businesses, because you don't have to pay the influencers unless they actually bring in, your customers or sales.
Can you explain that, Mark? I don't know what you're talking about.
So affiliate marketing basically is when let's say you have a product, and I don't know, let's say it's makeup, it's a mascara. You find influencers in the field, the beauty field. You say, I'm going to give you this mascara for free, quote unquote,
Right.
because you're asking for their time. And then I'm going to give you a code for your followers. And for every follower that buys my product, I'm going to give you X percentage.
Gotcha.
So a lot of small businesses think that's the way to go. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do affiliate marketing. You can't just throw your products at people and hope to get conversions. You have to make sure they're in the, the right industry. And the other thing is, when you're not paying for influencers, or I shouldn't say influencers, when you're not paying for content creators, this isn't always. There are a lot of really great people starting out that make good content for free, but they tend to be less reliable.
Mm-hmm.
They might not post on time. They might not have like quality control with their lighting and their transitions and their whatever. So you're not getting the content that you want. And a lot of people forget to ask for collaborations. They forget to ask for copies. They forget to ask for raw footage. So, which you can't really, I guess, if you're not paying the content creator. So affiliate marketing is a good way to go if you really know how to utilize it and how to do it, and you really research the content creator beforehand. But otherwise, I would say you have to spend money to make money. Right. You want a content creator that knows what they're doing, and it's worth it to go the extra mile if you make sure to research them. So I would say that's the second thing that I see a lot of businesses doing wrong, or that could be hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third thing I know you guys have heard over and over and over again, I'm sure, is not posting consistently. And you will be penalized for that, right? If you decide to take a break from social media, you're essentially, every time you post, you're working for, and I use Instagram more than I'm saying Instagram because that's my main platform of choice. But anytime you post on any social media platform, you're working for them for free, because you're keeping people engaged and on their platform. So as soon as you stop posting consistently, well, they're going to quote unquote pay their more loyal posters, post the people who are posting. Before they're going to pay, quote unquote, you by pushing your stuff through the algorithm. So you can get penalized for not posting consistently.
So what is consistent? Is it every day?
Yeah, it is.
Is it multiple times a
people
day?
Will disagree. There are some people who will disagree with me on this. And you'll always find people who have different opinions on how to post and when, whatever. Posting consistently every single day, it will help you grow faster. Posting multiple times every single day will help you grow faster. There was this one content creator who said, I saw her reel, and she was like, here's how I grew from 1,000 to 30,000 in 1 month or whatever. And one of the things she said that really resonated was, and it was exhausting, but she posted 3 reels a day, which who has time for that?
That
Nobody
was
has
my
time
next
for that.
question.
Right.
Is reels versus posts.
Yep. But it's true. During like the height of COVID, when I was like completely isolated, I went on TikTok and I grew from 0 to 52,000 followers in just 2 months. And then, you could go out again a little more and then work started and and I stopped posting completely. And now getting back on and I used to be disappointed if I got 10,000 views. Now, if I hit 1,000 on TikTok, I get so excited.
I'm excited if I have 10. Of course, we're not consistent on TikTok.
Right.
But that's what happens. The more consistently you post. My agency has this influencer, Amanda, Cheese's mom on TikTok. And I think Cheese is her dog. And she posts pretty regularly on TikTok. And, her views skyrocket compared to how much she posts on Instagram. So, it really is a thing.
And does she share her TikToks on Instagram? Does that affect your algorithm if you're just sharing through the different?
Yeah, so you can definitely recycle your content. It's that easy.
All the tips. I feel bad asking.
I know.
Don't do it with a watermark.
Right.
And I'm squeezing my head because it just drives me crazy. It's not to say that a video or a TikTok or a reel can't go viral with a watermark, because sometimes it happens, but it is less likely to get those views, because it's not to say that you won't go, that it won't pick up your piece of content, but it's just less likely. Because think about it. If you were on Instagram and you see a TikTok watermark, why would you help support that other platform? And vice versa. And then there are watermarks I'm not going to give names, obviously, but I saw a post the other day that was a decent post, and it had a CapCut watermark, which CapCut is an editing tool. Just cut it out. It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, you can use the system to do that.
Yeah. You should not be posting content with a watermark. And people do that just because it's quicker, but it looks less professional. It can hurt your chances of being picked up by the algorithm, because not only do these platforms want to see content that's created on their platform, but they also want to see content that looks professional. So, for example, I have a client on TikTok, and we repost our content creators' content, right? But if you repost a content creator's content who posted on TikTok and then you repost it to your platform, it will tell you, TikTok will tell you that it is ineligible to be boosted and to be put on the For You page, because it's not original content. So it will catch you sometimes. So that's just to say that they do look for professional quality content. How's the lighting? Is it original? All that. So.
All right. I'm going to stop you now because you are such a generous soul, and I know you could spend this entire hour giving advice, but this is your business, so
I want to
thank you. We wanted to start out with a good hook, and that was incredible.
Every single time you speak, I learn something new.
Oh, thank you.
You even repeated things you've already told us that you said it differently, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this differently.
Or I take the note that I need to do it, and now I'm understanding the why, because sometimes I need that. Do I have to really do more work? Yes, and this is why.
Oh. I'm glad I could help.
So how did you get started in all of this? Is this something you always wanted to do? What was It Girl Friday was the first business, right?
Yeah. So people ask me this question all the time. They're like, how'd you get into content creating? Did you ever always want to do it? No, I didn't. I went to school for medieval studies. I really liked medieval studies.
Oh, wonderful.
I wanted to transfer to Oxford for the classics, took the tour and everything.
Medieval studies. You don't hear that very often.
Yeah. I thought, right? And I still love it. I still love it. But the first thing I really, really wanted to be ever since I was a little girl was an actress. I lived in LA twice. I lived in New York twice. I went to college for medieval studies because I thought people are going to cancel me for this statement. But I thought nobody cares unless I'm teaching acting. Nobody's looking at my resume and seeing where I went to school for acting, or unless I'm doing Broadway, you know what I'm saying, or stage. For film, they want to know that you've been in things. They want to, but they don't. If you're good, you're good. If you're not, you're not. I was not good. But don't ask me to cry on cue. It's not happening. But so I wanted to be an actress. And then, social media became this big thing. There was Vine. I don't know if you remember
Vine. It was 3 seconds.
Yeah. And I was like, this is kind of like acting. This is kind of like acting. So I picked up Vine and I liked it because it was, my own script. It was my own, platform. And that kind of evolved. And doing content is the closest thing I can do right now to acting. And it makes me feel happy again, like I felt when I was acting. And it really just started with me creating content for myself. And then I started taking over people's social media platforms. They were like, oh, that's kind of cool. Could you make something like that for me? And then I started doing social media management. And then social media management evolved into, because that was IGF Marketing, evolved into the local influencer tour because when COVID happened, people were losing business and people in my community that I really cared about were losing business and things were closing down. And so I thought, what if I can bring them content and help their business? And it was just supposed to be a tour, like going from city to city and bringing local content creators to the local businesses. And that was supposed to be the business. But then after the tour, I had people say, I would work with these people again. How do I do that?
Right.
And so it evolved into an agency. And then the agency became so big that IGF Marketing kind of trailed off. So now I'll do like lectures and things on the side. But I completely stopped social media management until a couple of my clients that I did content for were like, but like, could you?
Right.
So I got roped back into it for a few clients, and now I'm going to be hiring so that I can continue it as an agency because obviously I don't really have the time to take. Okay, come on, you run your own social platforms. And you're like, this is exhausting. It takes up so much time.
Right.
So now we're expanding so that I can keep both businesses, IGF Marketing and Lit Agency.
Oh, wow. But I think about different people, and I know that as business owners, we all struggle with it, is having the people in place that are going to do the work that you would do. Yeah. Right. And I know that you're like, for instance, Erica Sorbello is the world's best hair cutterist.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That is her title, actually.
I gave her that title recently.
World's best hair cutterist.
And there are plenty of stylists that are good.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I just don't want any, I've gone to other people. Mm-hmm. Her salon is full of amazing people.
Yeah.
But I just know what she's going to do to my hair, and I just want her to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's like, do you have a way that you're going to vet people?
Yes. Yeah. So there are people who, like, I have clients that have specifically told me, I want to know that nobody's touching this account but you. And that's fine. I get it. But it's not like feasible to do that for more clients. Like, as of right now, I can't take on another client.
Correct.
It's just, as far as Lit Agency, I can, because I have all these influencers, across the United States who can make the content for me. It's an agency. But as far as IGF Marketing goes, managing people's social accounts, I just can't.
Right.
So it is important to have that. Now, I think the clients I have now, I would only take care of their platforms. But a new client coming on, would know that it's an agency, like a marketing agency. They would know that in advance. And with that knowledge going in, if something happened that they didn't like, they'd be able to tell me and we'd be able to fix it. But I think it's
like
super,
this is the person you're getting paired up with.
Right, exactly. But I think it's super important, like you said, to vet people, because if they don't align with you, then it doesn't work. So one of the unique things, as far as I know, like super unique, especially when it comes to Rochester area, about my social media management packages, is that it's social media management and content creation in one. So a lot of social media managers, what they'll do, and it's totally fine, and it works totally fine, is they will take your stock photos, your stock videos, and sometimes they'll shoot like, product videos and stuff like that, and they will create that content and post it for you. With mine, you're also hiring an influencer content creator. So usually the people who come to me want my face on it as well. So the clients I have, like I said, I created content for them first, and then they kind of roped me into,
you were already
managing their social accounts. So, which I love. I love doing it. So you're also getting influencer marketing with that. So like they'll send me a product and I will create a piece of content as though I was doing it for, lit agency, and I'll use that on their platform. So whoever I vet and whoever I end up bringing on has to be comfortable with that, because that's what makes my company unique compared to others. And I don't want to lose that edge.
Right.
So they have to be comfortable with their face being.
Well, and as a business owner, I've worked with people before that I've hired on to try to help me. And they're like, well, give me all your stuff. Send me all your stuff. And I'm like, but this is the part that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not posting it.
Right.
It's creating new stuff.
Right.
Exactly. So
I can post every day.
Yeah. And they should be so of all my clients, I have this one client in particular that always sends me stuff. And I'm like, you make my job too easy, man. Like, thank you so much. And you can't always have somebody create, you can, but it's going to be very pricey. Right. So,
or just taking stuff and creating new things from it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Right. You should never be expected to submit to a social media manager something that you've already made. That's kind of then you could just post it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to do that. So I have different packages. I have a maintenance one, and it really is just maintenance. So it's not gonna help you grow as much. But if it's like, if you say, I need consistency, I can only post half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Then I post, you supplement. That's my maintenance package, right? The more you want original content, like created with maybe my face in it, or you don't have the time to send over your product, or employee's face, then the price goes up. Do you want 2 reels, 3 reels, 4 reels, 5 reels a week? I just recently, like as in last week after the company New York trip, I was exhausted. And I told my clients, I said, I want to let you know I will no longer be working on the weekends, and neither should you. Mm-hmm. So I just recently made that switch. But, reels can be, you could put it in and just post without making it. But as far as like creating the content that day, I think it's important to have like a work-life balance. So, but all that to say, so the more original content you ask for somebody, the more the price is going to go up.
Sure.
And I've found that, most of my clients are like over the United States or international. I don't have a lot of clients in the Rochester area because it's pricey. Mm-hmm. It's pricey. And, people in New York or people in LA or people, or in, I don't know, Philly or whatever, they kind of understand that. But I think Rochester is still kind of learning what influencer marketing can do for somebody.
I want to go back to the fact that you keep mentioning reels. Do you post posts at all, or do you just post reels?
I do. So I think it's important to have an aesthetic Instagram. A lot of people post reels and then they won't, because you get the most growth from reels. I always recommend reels. A lot of people will post reels and they'll keep them up on their page. I believe it's important to have an aesthetic page. So I will post a reel. I'll keep it up on the main post page, on the main feed for like a week or so until it starts to go, plateau, sometimes 2 weeks, whatever. And then I remove it from the feed page. I don't delete it. You can remove it from the feed page so it's just in your reels section, because your photos are really what makes the photos are there to look pretty.
Right.
They're just show off your product.
They're like a weird.
Right. Now you can add, which I always recommend,
like the stagnant
covers.
Image. Yeah.
You can. Yeah. So you can totally add that, and that's going to make your reels look just nicer and, more cohesive. But I still recommend removing them from your main feed and making your main feed as beautiful as you possibly can. Right. Because that's what people are going to see first, and that's what is going to draw them in. So unless you're like, I don't know, a stand-up comedian or something,
where you want it like all video.
Right, mm-hmm. Right. That I definitely recommend keeping those static photos there. Mm-hmm.
So let's circle back. You go back first.
I'll circle back. So I totally agree. Rochester is amazing, but we are still Rochester. Learning.
Well, we're a small to medium
city.
Yeah, you can't compare it to like New York.
Right. And I feel like if I went out, maybe in my community where I live, and asked 5 random people on the street, what is an influencer and what do they do? Most of them are going to get it wrong, and they're going to be thinking of
Paris Hilton.
Or right? We were trying to remember the name of that music festival.
Fire Festival.
Like I feel like
the FYRE
Is that the one that went really
it was supposed to be
wrong?
fake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
It went very wrong.
Right. And I feel like there are still people, and I've talked to you about this and other people like that just don't understand what an influencer is because they're just thinking it is celebrities trying to make more money on top of the gobs of money that they have.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't say them first.
Right.
By the way, we are not.
Because we're dating ourselves by saying Paris Hilton.
I know, but that was like the
Hilton's great.
first.
Come
She
on.
was like the first
Right.
person to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
She's
Like-
classic. Yeah.
But I worry in that why it's taking some time is because people don't see it as a real job. So when did that all change? Because there's had to be a shift at some point.
Yeah. So I definitely think COVID had something to do with it because people were on social media more. I mean, and not to say that COVID started it by any means,
Right.
but I think that's
Brought
what
it
started
to light,
growing
yeah.
it. Because you couldn't go out, so people were always on their phones. So what better way to get across your product? I do want to specify that influencers, because I always use them interchangeably and I shouldn't. Influencers and content creators are two very separate things. You can be an influencer who's a content creator and vice versa, but not always. Influencers tend to have more followers and content creators tend, and again, this is not always the case. You can be both. And content creators tend to make more money on the average scale. We're not talking about like the influencers with the, mass, like millions of followers. So sponsors are just throwing, money at them to be seen. If we're talking about the average influencer, the average content creator, creating content is like creating little mini commercials.
Right.
So you have to know transitions, lighting. You have to know things like not having a watermark. You have to know things like the difference between a tag and a collaboration. Influencers, they post and they're cute and they grow their following faster because they're posting about themselves for themselves. People don't always want to see you posting a product. That's not why they're following your niche. So there is a difference. And that's, speaking of things that brands might not understand, or might be doing wrong, that's another thing that businesses sometimes don't always get. And I do think they are catching on with UGC, user-generated content, which is meant to be filmed for the client and not put on your own platform. But seeing someone with a lot of followers does not mean they are the ones that are going to create the best quality content for your brand.
Right.
So that's a super important thing to know. You definitely want to see their packages and, like
And
content
like what
creation.
they're creating. I do that for photographers. Like whatever I'm like the vibe I'm looking for, I want to make sure the photographer has
exactly
gotten that vibe.
I have influencers and content creators apply for my agency all the time. And I'll say, send me your media kit, and they won't have one. And that's fine. They're starting out. I'm not judging, whatever.
Right.
But that is why it's important to learn, what is a media kit? I'll say, send me, examples of brands that you've worked for. And maybe they got a free product and they're just like, I got this and I really like it because XYZ, but there's no transitions. There's no, you can't just have a camera at your face at the same angle the whole time and keep people interested. You need, motion, even if it's just zooming in, zooming out, zooming quick. People's attention spans are very short.
Oh, yeah. So I assume, because I know the average person, and their mentality when it comes to owning a business anyways, regardless of what business it is. But I assume people look at you and they're like, you just play on your phone all day.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but then you hear all these things like that. Transitions and that is.
And you
That's
are
high-level
probably
stuff.
on your phone all day.
Right.
Let me tell you, my screen time is disgusting. The way somebody else, I am on my phone the way somebody else is on their computer. I have a computer, but for the majority, I'm on my phone. I do everything on my phone. Now, multiply that by owning a business. There's no 9 to 5.
Right.
So, this sounds disgusting, and this is one of the reasons why I won't work on weekends anymore. There was a time where my phone told me, your screen time is up for an average of 12 hours a day. And I was like, ooh, no. But even my husband, he'll come in and he'll see me on my phone and he'll forget that I'm working because I'll just be on the couch like this, or, I have an office area, but sometimes I'm just on the couch.
Yeah, you could sit anywhere and do your work.
Exactly. And he'll get into something and then he'll realize that I'm kind of flighty with my attention. And I'll be like, are you working? I'm like, yeah, sorry. He's like, no, I get it. You're in the zone. I'll save it for later. So it is difficult. And I think it helps to have friends who know if we're out, like during the week and we have lunch and all of a sudden I'm on my phone, that friends that know that I'm not just texting or ignoring them or, you know, and I've had to do this thing where I'm like, hold on, I want to hear everything you're saying and I want you to have my full focus. So if you give me 2 seconds to respond to this email, that would be great. But yeah, some people just think I'm obsessed with my phone. Like random people, they'll think I'm just obsessed with my phone. And it's just like, oh, no, but I'm working.
Right. So I just have to say, your phone is here and it's facing, I can see your video.
Yeah.
So you get so many pop-ups.
Yeah.
Like notifications on your phone. And I'm like, I just want to like be like, can you just turn your like not for me, but for you. Because I had to, even with my stuff, I'm like, I have to take all notifications off.
Yeah.
I set time to look when I'm going to do social media, when I'm going to do email. I'm like, I have to turn everything off because I'm constantly found myself feeling like I had to answer right away.
Well, I will tell you that even though I have notifications on for things that I need to for clients, this sounds awful because you'd think this would be the most important. I have my notifications shut off for texts. So when
like the one thing I leave on.
The one thing everybody leaves on. When I first shut off my texts, it was so unusual for my friends. They all thought I was mad at them because I would only check my text like once an hour because I'll go down the rabbit hole. If I start texting, it's over. I've lost an hour of work because I'll start, sending memes or then let's look at TikTok. I've already paused work for a second,
Yep.
So I paused my text and everyone thought I was mad at them for like a month straight. I kept, all right, is everything okay? You don't respond as much. No, I promise. I just shut off my text. So most people know now that the reason I'm not texting them back right away
from
is
your phone.
Right. That's smart though.
But I will say, again, it all comes down to having friends that are supportive because I don't post in real time, right? So I'll get a lot of content from New York City. I'll get a lot of content from this client, whatever, and I stretch out the posts. So I would say one of the hardest things about being a content creator is, okay, so for example, recently, and I won't go into it or whatever, but we had a family member pass. That was super difficult. I was exhausted from coming back from New York City and having to create and put together all my clients' stuff. And I just laid in bed and worked for like days. I worked from my phone in bed and my husband was very supportive of that, brought me food and everything. Well, I was like, I just want to relax. And I was sad. And sometimes, you're sad, and you still have to post things where you're smiling.
Right.
So you'll have friends ask you like, hey, let's go out for lunch. Let's get together. I haven't seen you, blah, blah. And you'd be like, you know what? Today's not a good day for me. I'm really sad.
But I saw this reel.
Right. And then you post a reel of you smiling and being like, look at what I go. And they're like, what's up with that? I just saw your post. And you have to explain to them, yeah, I made that like a week ago. I still have to post it. There's still deadlines.
Right.
Yeah.
And way more extreme in your case because of those things. But I think that's business ownership in general.
Yes.
We all the time, like, you're never here. I'm like, I'm always working. And if I'm not standing behind the bar or sitting at the bar, it doesn't mean that I'm not working. Yeah. So it's like one of those things. People just don't really understand that concept.
If I'm covering in the restaurant, there are things I was supposed to get done that aren't getting done.
Right.
And I have to be there. Yeah. And I'm like kind of annoyed.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're not there because you're doing other stuff. Yeah.
And somebody asked me the other day, they're like, oh, you own the restaurant? Do you like own it or do you work there?
What?
And I was like,
both?
Sure.
Yeah, everything? Yes.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah.
That what? I don't understand that question. You own the restaurant? Oh, do you just?
Well, because, you think about like chains and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's true.
So they're owned by people that never step foot in.
Right.
And a lot of people actually think that we're a chain.
Yeah.
Because we've been around for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can see that.
I just like kind of smiled and I was like, well, if you see me there.
Yeah.
Right. Something's gone wrong.
I'm either going to the bathroom, so I'm coming out front, or shit has hit the fan.
Yeah. You got to do some damage control.
And I'm there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go there. I still want to go there and do content on that. There's Corona upside down in
the Corona Rita.
Sunrise. It was a margarita or what?
Yeah, it's a frozen margarita with a Corona upside down in it.
Yeah. I was just like, I want it.
Uniquely delicious.
Uniquely. It is. I'm not a big fan of frozen margaritas or Corona. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
I drink straight tequila.
Okay.
So
nice.
So I'm in a different palette.
Yeah.
But it is a very fun drink.
It would be. It's very Instagrammable.
Yeah.
Very Instagrammable. Yes.
So,
If I put a donut on top and some. That'd be
Wait, but that would make
Don't do that. Yeah.
that would make an excellent piece of content though, because who does that? Nobody.
Who doesn't like donuts in drinks?
Put it like on the straw. Stick it through the straw like a lollipop.
I have a donut. I mean, I can make donuts for you. I can
Can you
make
make
that happen.
Christmas colored donuts?
I could, and they could be
Ooh.
agave, sweetened with agave. And,
Agave donuts.
yeah. All
That's
right, I'll
awesome.
put it
All
on
right,
my
Steph,
list.
are you listening?
Please
I'm
do.
gonna-
Agave
donuts.
Let me know the second you
Definitely
do this, because I want.
Getting written down.
Yeah, that was one
ideas
of
for January.
my COVID things. I tried bread and I was just not good at it. I'm a horrible cook. I'm a horrible baker. But I got this little like donut tin and I was like, I can make baked donuts, and I made a
Remember when
bunch
I
of
did
baked
donuts with my face on it?
Yeah, I love it. I still have a picture of it. What? I'm eating her first.
Come on.
I made everything during COVID
That's
because
so
I just
cool.
I was so stressed out. And I
Yeah.
had 4 kids at
You needed
home, and
something
the
to do.
businesses were going, and they're like, so I just had to like keep going. So like every day I just made shit, and I didn't want all this stuff in
You're
my
busy.
house. I would just drop it off, and
Yeah.
you couldn't like talk to anybody. So I was
Right.
like,
yeah.
I made you donuts with my face on it.
Yeah, it's on your front porch.
That's awesome.
So people just got random sweets for like 3 months
Yep.
until things,
Of your
and then all of
face.
a sudden we had to go back to work like that, and we're like, shit, now we have to go back to work. But
Right.
That's tough.
during that time of like closure,
I cannot imagine what it was like for restaurant owners during COVID. I can't even fathom the stress.
going back was worse.
Yeah,
Really,
because it was so stressful.
right. The
it's still
transition.
stressful. It's
Well,
still
it's a stressful
nightmare.
job anyways.
Right.
But people were ridiculous, and the
And
guidelines were
grouchy
changing, and then it depended on where your restaurant was located.
okay, like county wise.
Like,
and all the
I
regulations and
Yeah.
I said something yesterday because somebody was like, oh, we wish we did this holiday market. I'm like, well, I really wanted to be here, but you didn't have enough room. I'm like, there's a lot I can do, but I can't create more space. I'm like, oh, I haven't said that since I had to have things 6 feet apart. People come in, they're like, why can't, like, you put me over there, you can do this. I'm like, I literally have to have these tables.
Is
6,
that
like,
still a thing?
no.
Not
But I
anymore,
was
no,
like,
back
oh, I
then.
haven't said that. And I used to be one of the things I said like 10 times a day. Like,
yeah.
and it's not your table. It's like where your chair is going to back out. Like,
Wow.
literally, I can't have more tables in there.
I didn't even think
So I'd always
about
be
that.
like, I'm so sorry you're frustrated. I cannot create more space. I'm just not that
Well,
talented.
they'd be like, well, you're not at 50% capacity anymore. You're at 6 feet. And I'm like, well, the average table is 3 feet apart.
Right.
So
Yeah.
6 feet is 50% still.
Yeah.
Still 50%. Do the math.
yeah.
These are things I do. I wouldn't
Oh,
even.
yeah.
It was a shit show. But anyways, I baked a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
But do you still have your donut maker?
I do.
Because I got rid of a lot of the stuff because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have time to. I was Amazoning anything I could to make.
Well,
some
it's just
sort
a
of
tin,
donut
so it just
maker.
sits with all the other tins I rarely use.
So you can make me some donuts.
Totally going to make you donuts.
with a face on it.
I want your face on it.
Oh, totally.
I'm gonna commission you for It Girl Friday once for my. Once I have an It Girl Friday party, I just want
I love
like
it.
It Girl Friday donuts.
Girl Friday donuts.
Done. I'm sold.
I'm about that life. Total narcissist.
All
As
right.
I sip from my super sparkly local influencer tour mug.
I love it.
That actually was created for me by Nicole Customs. So I should give her a shout out for that because it's absolutely amazing.
It is.
And
I
she
saw
did
you
it while
come in
she
with it.
Was
Right.
like pregnant and stuff. So I'm really excited about her.
So I have a question. So we've talked a lot about how the work that you do and how it's perceived. So how would you define yourself compared to how the world defines you? It's our new favorite question.
So there's this, and I follow it too. I totally enable that platform. There is an Instagram. I don't know if you follow it. It's called Influencers in the Wild.
I love it. I
God,
love
it's
it.
so
Oh,
good, right?
Back down.
Influencers in
Fantastic.
the Wild, and it's like other people filming influencers or content creators creating content, and it just, it looks ridiculous.
Right.
I'll be the first to say, if I'm out in public creating content, I must look ridiculous. And I've always said that I will know I've made it if somebody sends in a video of me.
Hope in the wild.
Yeah, to Influencers in the Wild. If I ever see myself on Influencers in the Wild,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know
I think
you're
it's
there.
supposed to be like a silly thing, like look at these idiots type of thing. But I see them and I'm like, yeah, but I want to know what the final product was.
Right.
Right.
What was the final product? What was the final product? And, some of them are just ridiculous, like a woman having her 6-year-old film her twerking on a beach. Stuff
Right.
like that. That's ridiculous. But some of them, you really wonder what the final product looked
Right.
like. again, I think a lot of people, and I'm part of the problem because I use the term influencer and content creator interchangeably because I consider myself both. They don't separate content creator and influencer, right? So they don't think about the business aspect of it. It's the same thing as a photographer, a videographer, it's the same thing. I had somebody say, oh, you should do it for weddings. I said, they already have that. It's called a wedding videographer.
Right.
No, but like content, you should do like content, like the zoom in of the videographers have caught on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So although it was a great idea, like content creation versus videography, a lot of videographers have caught on to the fact that they can do more like content videography for weddings, and they've, enabled it. But it's essentially the same thing. You're creating a commercial.
Right.
A mini commercial. And I think people just think like influencer to the point where, and this is so bad, to the point where my mom,
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
God bless my mother.
We talk about moms a lot.
Yeah.
We love our mom.
She will tell her friends, oh, my daughter's an influencer. And I'm like, no, don't tell them that. Because if you were to go, I mean, my TikTok has like, 50,000 plus, but if you were to, if she tells her friends that I'm an influencer and then they go onto my Instagram page that has less than 3,000 followers, they're going to be very confused.
Right.
So I'm like, no, tell them I'm a content creator. Like I make content for other people.
Yeah, check out those accounts.
Check out check out my clients' accounts and their, stuff. So.
And nobody really thinks about, we've talked about with photographers, the amount of time that goes into it after you've taken that picture.
The filming is a fraction of what goes into it, the editing.
So we did an amazing hour for Fringe Fest, and it's in my phone to go in on CapCut and like create content from it.
Yeah.
But every time I try to do it, I'm like, this is too much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I have videos that I took over a year ago, and I will edit them slowly but surely because they're not for clients, they're just for me. And they're still not edited because it's like 2 hours of footage. And I do not have
I just want the app to like tell me the good parts.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, here's the good parts, just cut those.
Yeah. I'm going to start hiring out for that.
Right.
Because at any time, like a client asks for a YouTube thing, I'm just going to start hiring out. I don't know. I'll go on Fiverr or something if I don't have an employee by then because it's exhausting. I don't want to watch 2 hours of myself.
I know, and then like pick and choose, and then you gotta drag the little thingy.
Yes, yeah.
So our program that we use actually will create the cuts for you.
That's
and
awesome.
You can like highlight the words, and then it brings you to that portion of the video,
so
and you
cool.
can just
You have to tell me what you use. Yeah.
For the podcast. I mean, it's not just podcasting; it's just video editing.
That's neat.
But yeah, I find it very fun because now I can just be like, we talked about changing, and I was like, well, like, can they do that? Because I like this part.
Yeah,
so it makes me like little clips, and I don't have to go through the whole episode because I don't always have time.
It's interesting you say that.
Hours.
Like you talked about changing, and then I have that same problem. So when people are like, "What app do you use to edit?" Oh, I use like 4 or 5 different apps. I will put it into one for one thing, and then now that that's done, I'll take it and I'll put it into another app that does another thing. And one of my clients said, "You should just make your own app that does all of it." I'm like, when?
Right.
When am I going to do that? When do I have that time? I wish somebody else would do that.
Well, if someone's listening that makes apps and wants to hire you in as like a partner, and you can tell them what you need,
I'm in.
And they can do the back end coding, and I assume it's coding. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never made an app.
Well, I mean, as this grows, that technology is going to continue to grow. So I'm thinking, yes, people need to understand the amount of time that goes into the editing and everything that they don't see, but it's researching that, and it's researching trends. I mean, maybe it's mellowed out a little bit, but I feel like for a while it was like this many hashtags, no, this many real, this many.
It changes.
Use this word, don't use this. You have to like. It was impossible to keep up.
No,
and you have to know all of that. Right.
Yeah. I mean, 6 months is being generous. Like you're so right. I actually came across an ad. Now I'll get back to you as to whether or not they actually work. I want to read all the fine print because again, I'm looking to hire, and it would be easier for me if I didn't have to hire. If I just there was somebody else, I didn't have to worry about insurance and things like that.
Right.
And I came across this ad. This company claims to be able to, that you don't pay a penny. You don't pay us 1 cent unless they get you sales. And I called, we had a discussion, and they said they charge $3,000 a month but you don't have to pay a penny unless they get you at a minimum of $6,000 in revenue or whatever. Like, they're like lead generator. And I was like, I told him, I said, that's a pretty ballsy statement to make.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we made $22 million last year.
And
I
it reminds me of like Zappo, how like you hear that they will pay you to quit. They're like, here's $1,000 if you quit today.
Quit your job, or
yeah, they train you, and at the end of the training, they pay you $1,000 to quit because it saves them money.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah.
So like, if you're willing to put in the effort to try to get 6,000, they get 3,000.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'll look into it more and I'll let you know.
So it makes sense as long as they're that good,
right?
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that.
Content creation, apps,
apps and stuff like that. Like, I don't have the time to go from app to app to app to do the outreach to whatever. And these people say that they can, get leads and all this stuff. We will see. I'm going to read the fine print. If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Usually is.
I'm read the fine. I'll get back to you.
Right.
Awesome.
No, I'm excited. Follow up.
Right.
Episode 2.
So we're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to the bar.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Follow-ups. So how much time in your week do you spend on keeping up with all the crap that you need to know to be successful on social media?
I would say I work about 70 hours a week. Yeah, which is why I need to hire. And that's like on a nice, that's like on a nice day. So now I don't work weekends. So, I mean.
Your husband has to be happy with that.
That really helps, yeah. But it's tough because one of the things I have to work on is knowing to be present. Because even when I'm not working, I'm working, right? I have my phone on me still. So, if a client asks a question, I answer.
Right.
And I don't want to not answer.
Right.
Well, it's like with catering. If I don't answer the email immediately, they're going to find somebody else.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like 2 minutes to answer that.
Or once a month, once an hour, I'm checking my email even if I'm on vacation because I have to make sure, or if there's a complaint or somebody, has a serious issue, I have to answer immediately. So it doesn't always happen, but I have to check even when I'm not. If I'm on family vacation, I'm checking at least once an hour just to make sure I don't have to damage control anything.
Yeah. Unplugged is not really unplugged. Yeah.
But your husband is a small business owner.
Yes.
So he has some level of understanding.
Oh my gosh.
So
yes.
that's so helpful.
Supportive. And he's growing super quickly.
Why don't you give him a plug?
So his company is the Spice Project. He makes small batched, unique blends, everything from like rosemary to, ninja dust or dragon's breath. So he makes some like really cool blends. And because he's always, making these spices and going to markets and selling online and, the Spice Project is growing so much that he understands like my need for growth too. I mean, his social media account is growing faster than my own personal social media account. It is crazy. I'm so proud of him.
Do you do content creation for him?
People ask this all the time. This is so embarrassing. So people are always like, your account's growing so quickly. You must be so happy to have like a wife who does, social media management and content creation. But the fact of the matter is I work so much that I can't do his account.
Do you ever look over and you're like, you're doing that wrong?
Yeah. Well, so he will come to, when he creates stuff, he'll come to me first and I do help him edit it, take videos. I do stuff for him. But what I suggested, and he started doing it. That he should
hire you?
No, I don't have the time. But he uses influencer marketing, but he does like gifted. I know it's kind of embarrassing to say. He does gifted ones. Here I am running, lit agency where we've got paid creators. But the fact of the matter is not everyone can afford to pay for creators. And if there are creators out there that'll do it for a gifted product. So he gives like micro influencers or like people who want to become like content creators his spices, and they make Spice Project videos and then add him as a collaborator. So if you go onto his content, his Instagram page, it's going to be just a slew of content from other creators. He doesn't do he doesn't have to do any of that, which is smart. Like it is smart.
Yeah.
But he will have me like, and I was for a while, but I haven't recently because I've been so busy. He will have me go into the platform he uses to find them and vet the influencers first. So that is one thing I'll do is I'll say, they're going to waste your time. They might bring you money. They're going to waste your time. They're going to bring you money. Oh, that person definitely pays for engagement. That is an way above normal engagement, right? Don't trust them. Things like that. So that I will help him with. And he's like he also does giveaways quite often. He's doing a giveaway now, and that grows his account too. Because, you have to follow the person in order to enter. So
that actually made me think of another thing. So I know in the past, and I don't know if you still do it, the Instagram audits.
Yes, I do. So Instagram audits are great. And I think that if you don't hire somebody to do an audit for you, that it's super important that you do them yourself. I do sell like downloadables if you're not sure where to start on Etsy, It Girl Friday. I make Girl Friday on every platform, which is another thing I want to talk about in a second. But I do offer audits, and that goes over like, is your account optimized for SEO? In Instagram, SEO isn't just for a website. Does it look aesthetic? Are you following too many people? Things like that. But that's another thing that should be added to my audit is just telling people that in order to maintain a level of professionalism, you want to make sure that your account name is the same on all platforms. So if you're looking to start a business, before you secure your Instagram, make sure that your name is available across all platforms. You don't want it's super unprofessional to have a number after your name, right? Or a dot or, things like that. You don't want a number after your name. It says that name's already taken. So, make
your second
original.
best or third or 18th best.
Exactly. So you don't want a number after your name. You don't want to be following more people than are following you, because that looks like you're following all these people and they're not even interested in following you back, right? So that says a low quality account. So these are all things we look for.
But you should be following some people as a business.
Yeah. So you don't have to be. You could be following 0 if you want. The more of a gap you can put, but then you run the risk of being pretentious, right? Unless you're Selena Gomez or whatever, you can follow people. You don't necessarily want to follow a lot. Like if you're following people in the industry, like I do, I follow people in the industry. I follow, different clients, things like that. But you want to keep the gap as large as possible between who you're following. Unless it's a personal account, then follow whoever you want. But for a business account, the larger of a gap you can do without pissing people off or, making them think that you hate them, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think when one of ours was started was not by me, it was one of my employees, and just started following all her friends. So when I'm on that one, I'm like, why am I following? Like, why is this coming up in my feed? So that's something I'm going to slowly start changing. But I know that with the union, we follow so many, because there's so many brands that we use for our non-alcoholic drinks, that they are very quick to repost our stuff, and that's really
totally
helpful.
Worth it. Yeah, that's absolutely worth it. There are some friends I follow who have been super super and they repost and stuff like that. And I remember for a while I wasn't even following my family, and I had to tell them while I was building, I really have to keep this ratio, and they totally understood. And I followed them from a different account, from a personal account.
But how many accounts do you have?
God, don't even ask. I have so many. I have so many accounts. I've got my IGF Marketing account. I've got my local influencer tour account. I've got my It Girl Friday account. My husband and I have our unconventional marriage account.
I love that account.
My cat has Wendy Cat IG or Wendy Cat something account. I haven't been on in a while, obviously. My potato is that potato pup. It's dumb.
You have a potato account?
Yeah, my dog's name is Potato.
Okay.
Yeah. That potato.
Still interesting.
Talking about all of your Instagram accounts, and you mentioned your cat and your dog. We're curious why your pigeon has not been brought up
everybody
yet.
Asked that.
Because we just want to know.
You don't have a pigeon account?
I don't have a pigeon account. I just, I don't even keep up on my dog and my cats anymore. So, but I feel like my pigeons account would have gone viral.
Can we talk about the pigeon, how you got the pigeon, your story about the pigeon?
So
I love it.
The construction workers were demolishing the porch, and they found a baby pigeon in a nest, and they just placed it on the side windowsill of my house. I didn't even know. I opened my window and I was like, God, what is this ugly thing? I'd never seen a baby pigeon before. I thought it was maybe a vulture or something.
Right.
I don't know. So waited. Mommy didn't come back. I was like, well, I guess this is my pigeon now. I had to
naturally
look up what it was.
yeah.
Yeah. And it wouldn't eat no matter what I did. People were like, you could have tried this. You could have tried this. I was like, listen, I tried everything that I could think of at the time. In retrospect, maybe I could have made it like a fake mouth or something. I don't know. But I had to feed my bird out of my mouth for like a few days and until I could wean it off, because I learned that pigeons are different than like sparrows or whatever. The mama doesn't go in and feed the baby. The baby feeds out of the mama's mouth. So that was gross, but it lived. So I would let it outside every day, and it would just fly around and come back in at night. It always stayed around the house, around the porch, until one day it got like attacked by a hawk. So now I have a little pigeon harness so I can like walk him outside and stuff like that. He like will sleep next to me on the pillow. No, I shouldn't say he.
I was going to say, do you know if it's a boy or
it's very tough to tell, but we thought he. While I was in New York City, my husband sends me a picture of eggs, little pigeon eggs.
Oh.
So now my loving pigeon that used to give me morning kisses and night kisses and sleep next to me likes to attack me anytime I come near the cage.
Wow.
She does not know they're not fertilized.
I was going to say, what happens? Like, they just lay eggs and wait to get...
Yeah, I wait until like she goes and eats when she's off the eggs, and then I take them because they're not going to hatch.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have since learned that pigeon eggs are a delicacy, so I'll let you know how they taste. It feels a little weird, but like
it's amazing.
Right, exactly. So and
like
actually,
ostrich eggs.
Yeah.
Like, that's a
I
delicacy.
wish I was wearing them today. Earlier, I talked about Amanda, Cheese's mom, who is on, TikTok and posts, pretty regularly and whatnot. So she also owns Tiny Woman Creations, where she hand makes jewelry. And for my birthday, which was on the 4th, so not too long ago, my husband commissioned her to make pigeon earrings.
We met
Custom
her.
pigeon
She was
earrings?
at the one at Pop Rock.
Oh, yeah.
The last one. Yeah.
She's so talented.
So
Now I
talented.
have pigeon earrings. And as far as I know, I am the only one on this planet that has Tiny Woman Creation pigeon earrings.
I would imagine that is true.
I just want to see you like walking down the street with a pigeon on a
I know.
leash.
Oh, it's great. But I can't get anywhere. You think it's bad when people walk a dog and people are like, can I pet your dog? Psh, forget it. We tried bringing Chippy, that's the pigeon's name. We tried bringing Chippy to a market once. And like... people don't pay attention to your spices if you've got a pit. You would think it would draw people in, and then they would. No, like all they want to do is
can
your
pet
pigeon.
Pidgey if you buy, or Chippy if
you're
you
right.
buy
That's what I should
spices.
say. Yeah, that's what I should say. Nobody wants to pay attention to anything but the. I can barely enjoy myself.
Wow.
Yeah, so I still take him out sometimes for walks, but it's got to be when there aren't a lot of people around. Otherwise, I can't actually walk anywhere.
Right. Jeez. Chippy.
Well, pigeon was definitely on my list of things to make sure we touched base on, because
If
I think
anyone's
it's
planning on
hysterical.
getting a bird, I know it sounds unconventional, but a pigeon really is the best bird you can get. They're so loving. They're so smart. Yeah.
How would you go about even doing that? Because they're not finding that in a pet store.
So I found out in all the hours and hours of research I did that there are people who breed and sell pigeons because they are such great pets.
Well, rats, right? Like, you
Yeah.
get a pet rat,
Yeah.
mice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense. They say that they're what? Like the rats
Super
of birds
smart,
or bird
affectionate.
rats. And rat pets are supposed to be amazing.
Yeah.
My kids are trying to talk my husband right now into a pet rat.
Yeah, that's
Do
not going to
it.
happen.
I was like, go for it.
They don't
Can it be
live long,
albino?
though.
I want one with the red eyes. Like extra
Oh, yeah, super creepy. It's very easy to get somebody's, information, obviously, but I don't freely give it that much because the more your account grows, the more you get haters. And children are, whether children or adult, people are very bold behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
So I have gotten death threats. My TikTok has some very feminist content on it. And, some people don't like that. And so I had somebody, I'll never forget it, tell me that he was going to set me on fire. While I was still on fire and still alive, he was going to cut off my dog's head with a machete. So I had to watch my dog die.
Jesus.
Yes.
Holy shit.
And 1 week later, there was a homeless person sleeping outside my window at my old place. So I obviously called the cops because I was like, I'm not taking any chances.
Oh.
Like, I don't know if it's a homeless person or if it's like that person that, threatened me. And it was right outside my bedroom window. So I was on the first floor. So that was creepy.
So you will not get Hope's last name on this
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. But yeah, I would say next, we are expanding. We are going international. We've already had international clients, but we're going to. Yeah.
We're going international.
Slow down here.
That's kind of a big deal.
It is. It isn't. I don't know. Like, I mean, it is a big deal. We're going to start getting international content creators. It's daunting, just like tax wise, and I don't know how. I don't know anything. I got to get an accountant. I'm just the baby.
I didn't even think about tax when you said it going international. It was
I don't even know
farthest thing.
How does that work? I don't know. I got to figure that out. So I'm just a kid, like in my body. I'm just inside. I'm just like a child still, and all this stuff is
having fun making content.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. All this stuff, all the financial stuff sucks. So we're going to be getting international creators. There's already one in Norway that we're speaking to right now. She was on like a reality show, and she's like super beautiful and a lot of fun and just like a huge personality. So, but I won't give too much information about that yet until, you know, it comes. Yeah, teaser. So we're going to be doing that and hiring more creators. I'm hoping to at least double in size by the end of next year with creators. Originally, I wanted to keep it small because I wanted to make sure that all my creators could get a constant flow of work. But what I didn't anticipate is that, and I vetted them for this, so I should have anticipated it, is that my creators don't just take any job to get money. They only take jobs with campaigns, with products and services that they identify with, that they feel their audience will really resonate with their audience. And that's important to my company, but that also means that they say no to things.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do when your client's like, I want these 5 influencers, I want these 5 content creators, and only 2 of them actually want the job, right? Not everybody wants to model lingerie or do content with lingerie. Not everybody has a pet, right?
Yeah.
For, you know, somebody who maybe wants to sell dog treats or whatever. So we're going to at least double in size this year and take more creators. Also, a lot of brands want creators that are based in their area, or at least whose followers, who have a percentage of followers, which we show in their media kits, that are in that area, especially like ones that deal with like cannabis. They want people that can go into their store, things like that. So,
well, it's the same thing with restaurants, right?
Yep.
It's like paying for followers never made any sense because I want followers that are local.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so we definitely want to do that. I also want to continue on with the local influencer tour, which is how this all began. So by going to cities and, you know, connecting brands with influencers that are local, as well as the concept was all the influencers be local with the exception of one. And that one creator is the one who did the best as far as like engagement and stuff goes from the last tour. So that way you do get at least one creator that's, you know, from the outside. Funny because coming in, you were like, what's going on next year for spring or whatever? And I was like, oh, nothing, same old, same old. And then I'm like, well, actually,
international.
yeah, so we're expanding, and that is very cool. Not terrifying at all.
No,
Never
I'm
is.
an adult. I can handle
You're
it.
getting employees and going international.
Totally fine.
You'll be at Focus
and
Fortify.
presenting at this amazing conference in March.
Yes,
March.
super excited
Be at
about
Focus
that.
and Fortify in Rochester,
Yes.
New York.
I had a really good time the last time I came and spoke at one of your events, and I'm really excited for
And
this
last year's
upcoming
conference, you were like the biggest hit.
one. Oh, you stop it.
No, and that really began my obsession with you for sure, because I had known of you and, you know, interacting in the community, but like that was like, oh.
I think we've done 3 or 4 events with you. I can think of 3 off the top of my head, and then I know we're doing this one. And I swear, like I said in the beginning of this interview, every time you speak, I learn something new. And you'll speak on stuff you've already taught me, and I still learn something new.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
So you have like the
You
most
guys are great for my
outrageous amount of knowledge when it comes to this thing. And I think that it shows a lot about what makes you different.
Oh, thank you.
Other people may know it. I'm not saying that they don't,
Right.
but they don't express it.
Well, I also think that people are always like, you know, is this something I can find online? Is this something I can find online? I never want people to think that I just, you know, went to school and, you know, went to college for it. And
You can't. It
it's all
changes every few
stu-
months.
Yeah, it's all stuff that everybody can do themselves, but it takes so much time.
Right.
So when people are like, you know, why should we hire you instead of doing it ourselves? You shouldn't. If you have the time and energy to save the money and do it yourself and spend hours online researching the newest trends, keeping up to date, all that stuff, do it.
Yeah.
Go for it. I will always listen. If you can put me out of business, do it. Right. Because, I'm always about people saving money. I'm the thriftiest person you'll ever meet. But most people don't have that kind of time. And this is not me trying to put down any other people in the social media field. But it scares me sometimes that I will see people use social media managers and that are making mistakes. Mm-hmm. That are making mistakes. And if it's a friend that's using someone, I'll reach out and be like, hey, I'm not trying to step on any toes, but if you tweak this will help you. But I can't do that with strangers, right? And I want to see everyone, especially in Rochester, grow and be successful. And so when I see these mistakes being made by people who are being paid to make these mistakes, it blows my mind. And so, you always say, oh, you're giving away too much information. This is your job. It's because I don't want anyone to make, even if they're my competitor, so to speak, or whatever, I don't want them to make the mistakes too, because then they're hurting somebody else's business.
Right.
So when everybody wants to grow and maybe that's like the hippie in me, whatever, but.
Well, but I mean, a strong small business community, everybody's going to do well. You'll do well for that. So it is very important.
And we both agree with that philosophy. You can take all of my knowledge and open up your own place, but you're never going to recreate what I have because I'm doing it.
Exactly. You have your own spin.
Yeah.
You have your own,
I'm like, here's all of my recipes. People are like, what's your margarita recipe? Well, here it is.
Yeah. Good luck making it the same as me, though.
Well, and people don't necessarily want to make them at home. Like, they think they do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like making bread.
Right.
Yeah. I want to make bread.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to spend $7 on the organic loaf at the local grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. I'm not making my own food. I'm lucky. My husband makes me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But with all of his Spice Project seasonings.
Do you both work from home for the most part?
For the most part, he and I are both growing. So, I just expanded to another office, and he's expanding to a new commercial kitchen. So, we'll be seeing less of each other, unfortunately, in the upcoming,
Which is why you can't work weekends.
Right. Which is why I can't work. Well, but he does the best on weekends.
Right.
So that kind of sucks too. But we definitely need to reconfigure for family time.
Or maybe it's you don't work Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. That might be it. Yeah.
Right.
I might have to find out what his
Our weekend is
off
generally Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally everything's okay at work on Sundays, and then Monday we're closed. Yeah. So it's like...
Yeah, it's tough it's tough, but it's great having both people in the relationship be business owners, because on the one hand, that means, 24/7. But on the other hand, I wouldn't have it any other way, because it would be very difficult for someone who's not a business owner to be able to identify with and understand.
Because we're in business
we talk
with
about
our
that
husbands.
a lot.
Yeah.
And the one biggest bonus is that I don't think either of our relationships would be the same if we weren't doing it together, because it is such an intense thing to own your own business.
How does that work? Does that work? I mean, I love my husband,
we handle it
but I don't know if
differently.
Totally differently, but yes. Well, we don't have
hard being in business with your significant other.
We don't have kids, so it's a little bit easier to manage the time. Right. And we've always had opposite schedules. When we met, he was always working in bars, and I was working at Hillside, so I was up at 5:30 in the morning. So we were always really good at these are the times of the day that I'm at my best. Yeah. So from 3 o'clock to 7:30, that's when we had all of our dates were during that time frame. And we have such different roles at each job. It's very easy to be
that's the way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're always kind of working, but it does help a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, but you always say that we don't have kids, but we've talked about it. I think it's got to be worse.
Yeah, it's not like we fill the time.
A reason.
Right.
I can't work from this time to this time because I've got something I have to do with the kids. So you don't have that definitive
to get out.
Well, we have times where we're really, our staff is great. We've got great managers, and there is one day a week. This is just, you're just going to have to, if it's not on fire, figure it out. Or, hey, we've got this, on Thursday, we have 1,000 things we're supposed to do. We're making gingerbread houses. And we do it with my family every year. This is the first year without my father. In the past, it could have been well, you know what, Don can't make it, or he's got to come late because of something. We're this is just a non-negotiable. I think we've got some non-negotiables, and that's we
And
set
honestly,
those up.
if it's on fire, don't call either because there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
Call 911.
That's what I used to say. They'd be like, "We won't call you unless it's on fire," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not
how
in
about
town,
just call
so
me?
don't call me.
Make a
if it's
different
on
call
fire."
first.
Yeah.
Let me
Like,
know
call
after it's been handled.
after.
Yeah.
Right.
It was on fire. It's now gone. So stay on vacation.
Yeah. I love
Because
that.
when you come home, it's going to be a shit show.
My phone's
Right.
going to be off. I'm not even answering that
Right.
phone if I don't know, you
No.
know.
No, Erin and I, it's 24/7.
Yeah, that's tough.
So we just keep moving through things. But like, so we'll deal with family shit at work and we deal with work shit at family. And it's just whatever time it happens to be. And I've actually been struggling with that a lot lately because I'm doing a lot. We do very different jobs, but I'm trying to navigate my time better. So when I sit down to focus on something and he'll come in and like, we've got a lot of balls in the air and he'll come in and start talking to me about something. And I'm like, no.
Right.
I was in I need to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And I can't switch right now.
Right.
Like I just haven't been able to like mentally bounce back and forth as well. So we've been navigating what that looks like because
That's
he's not
tough.
used to it. He's like, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you?" And I'm like, "Why can't you multitask?" And I'm like, "I can't."
One thing at a time.
I'm like, "I can't. I just can't do it anymore."
Otherwise, it gets overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like that. One thing at a time. If I have a million things in the day and I start to feel like I'm going to get a panic attack, I'm like, let's start with coffee.
Yes, right.
And then what's the next thing on my list in order of importance? And I'm not going to even think about anything else until that one thing is done. I'm with you on that.
And I have some severe guilt right now that we're in this conversation for all this time because I'm having like a family crisis at home and I know that he's got a ton of things on his plate today. And I'm like, I'm recording and put my phone on airplane mode so that it wouldn't buzz the whole time we were talking with the little notifications popping up.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like. I mean, I have 4 cats, 2 dogs, and a pigeon, but
Only one of your cats has an Instagram?
the only one has
You
an
have a
Instagram.
favorite.
I know.
Or just Instagram worthy.
She was the
She takes better pictures.
most beautiful, like long haired, whatever. So, and the other 2 I didn't have, and then I haven't posted on her Instagram account since before we got the other 2.
You're going to get fired.
She is, but I can't imagine having like one human,
Yeah.
even one human. I cannot imagine.
I'd rather have a human than a dog.
Really
Yeah.
get out of here. Shut your face.
Sorry,
Are you
Kelly.
serious?
Oh, that's okay. I don't understand.
Fathom
but-
that. That's crazy.
I would have killed Kelly's dog so long ago.
Oh, yeah, you would have.
I would have been like, so euthanasia is a thing, right? Like, I love Lincoln.
Yeah,
but
no, I
I'm
get
like,
it. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's way easier with a kid because I don't have that choice.
Right.
So you have to keep going.
Right.
Like you don't even. But with a dog, it's so stressful because I'm like, we literally the last dog we had within like the first week, she tore her freaking Achilles like jumping up the stairs into the house, and I was like, so like, how much is this gonna cost, and is it worth it?
Right.
Expensive.
Because I'm like, I literally have no attachment to this animal.
Oh no.
I didn't really want a dog anyways, so I like don't super care. Like, yeah, I love her, but I was like, I don't have $3,000 to pop on a
Right.
and then like rehab and
$3,000.
shit. Yeah, you're like Lincoln's a college freaking education.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to think about how much money we've spent on our dogs.
Yeah.
But it's weird to hear you speak about dogs the way I feel about children.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
well, they just broke their leg.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
can't it heal on its own?
Right.
I don't,
I'm
and then,
like,
you know,
what?
something happens to my dog, and I'm like, he has a cut. We need to bring her to the vet.
He looks funny. What's happening? Check his gums.
Yeah,
What's going on? He looks got a weird face.
Yeah.
He's
well,
looking at me weird.
That's any a little
Yeah.
Well, is her hair thinning? I
Right.
don't know. Do we need to bring her in? But I mean, put a baby like my cousin had a baby, and so that baby's my cousin too, obviously. And so I like went to the baby shower because I felt like I was supposed to. And this woman comes up to me with the baby and is like, "Oh, here, hold." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to. I'll probably drop." No, hold on. I don't want to. This woman shove this baby
done that.
into my arms, and I'm like, you know what? It's my cousin. I'm holding this baby. I'm like, it's my cousin. I just need to hold him for a minute and I will feel some sort of maternal instinct.
You don't have to feel anything.
And I'm holding him. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm like, maybe if I give him a kiss. Everybody's talking about babies' heads and the way they smell.
They do
But I give
smell
him a
good.
kiss, and there's a picture. Somebody got a shot of it. I think it was my sister. Got a shot of me like kissing this baby's forehead. And I waited. Nothing. Now, I will say, after this child was able to toddle around and have a bit of a personality, I would run into a burning building for this boy.
Right.
Like, I am just
maternal
so
instincts
in love
don't
with
just
this boy,
happen.
but-
I did not connect to any of my kids
Really?
immediately. Nope.
Stop.
Nope.
You
There's
should
no
talk about
such
this.
thing.
People need to
I
talk about
do.
this stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
I had postpartum. I was like, yeah, like I would die for you,
But also, you're just there.
but like I'd like to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
can I
Right.
sleep now?
Wow.
And then they start to like, it's like 2 months in, they like smile at you and you're like, okay, or they like giggle.
Yeah.
Or like start to like notice you when you walk in the room and their face
Wow.
changes. And then you're like the dog. And you're
Right.
like, oh, they look different. Should I take them to the doctor?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
so
no.
weird to hear and cool to hear.
And on top of that, I had postpartum with my foster baby.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
What?
having all kinds of issues. And
Get
all of a
outta
sudden I
here.
looked at my husband and I was like, shit. I'm having, because I had 3 kids at that point.
Right.
I was like, I'm in postpartum.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have never thought.
Yeah.
I just, wow. My mind's like so blown right now.
Yeah, no, it's not a natural
I
thing.
don't
It
know
doesn't just
anything about
happen.
kids. I don't know. If you could ask me how old a kid is, and I'll be like, well, I'm going to say 3. This kid's 10 years
Or
old.
7.
Right, but you know how to keep a pigeon alive, so I think it's all relative.
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, what?
You fed a
You have an
pigeon.
instinct. It's
Do you
just
want to
not-
know
not
what I
for
would not
children.
have done for my kids?
What?
Fed them out of my mouth.
Right. I think there's
You
the
would have.
T-shirt.
If
There's
that's
the
only
t-shirt.
way-
T-shirt.
if That's the only way to keep them alive. You totally would have.
I would have been annoyed by it.
Yeah.
I too was annoyed by it. I felt like it was very difficult, like my gag reflex.
I was going to say, my
gag.
gag reflex, I would have thrown up in their mouth.
Yeah, it was bad. And then my mom, I'm telling her what I have to do, and doesn't my mom say, you should put this on Instagram. It'll go viral.
Did
I'm like,
you?
Mom, I'm not putting the. Yes, I did. I put it on, and it did go viral.
Nice.
All right, so
This
if you
little
can't
pigeon.
find hope internationally or can't make it to Focus and Fortify, you can check out the viral Instagram video of her pigeon eating out of her mouth.
Just scroll down, you'll find it. It's
Nice.
gross.
There somewhere.
What I will be doing as soon as you leave.
Might be easier for me to just send you the link.
Right.
It's so far down at this
sure.
point.
Awesome.
Well, is there anything else you would like the listeners to know?
Well, I think they should come to Focus and Fortify because it
Absolutely.
is a great time with amazing women. I also, what I also want to say, a while ago, like ages ago, you guys asked the Bossy members, like, hey, if you like the group, maybe can you send us a clip of you saying, what you think about the line? I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I never did. And I think it's very important for, if there are any, like, women-owned Rochester-based businesses, to know that this is the group for them. You never know what to expect with women, and I hate to be the person to say that, especially since I'm a feminist, but you never know what to expect with humans. Now add, like, the emotions of women into the mix, and you hear a lot of bad stuff about women groups. I've had friends tell me, yeah, I was in this photography group or that women-based, and everybody started getting cliquey or catty, and it drives them off from wanting to get into another group. But there are no cliques or cattiness that I've experienced with the Bossy group. And butterfly effect. I don't know if I wowould be where I am today if it wasn't for the Bossy group and the networking, because it is a butterfly effect, and it's one person and then it's another, and then next thing you know, you're expanding, and you might not have the confidence, and then this one person's like, oh my God, I learned so much from you, and you're like, wait, should I go forth? So if you're thinking of joining a group, or even if you're not thinking, you should think of joining the Bossy group. If you are a woman-owned business, it's just for Rochester, right? Or Rochester-based surrounding.
Currently,
areas.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we have some members in Buffalo and actually outside of the state because
Yeah.
people have moved and then stayed in the group.
Okay, but in general, it's a Rochester-based group, and it's a great group, and the networking that you experience there is astronomical. In fact, I'm about to post that I'm ready for an accountant and see who can pop up for me, because I did it a while ago and then I never pulled the trigger, and it's time. So that's what I would like to say, is that this has been one of the best career move for me in Rochester, is joining the Bossy group. And that's not even slightly an exaggeration. So
I'm not crying.
it's true, though.
It's very sweet. Thank you.
You change people's lives. Like, you guys must feel so empowered on a regular basis to constantly be changing people's lives.
We should.
We should.
You really should. You really should. So, yeah.
It
I'm
is our
grateful.
favorite thing that we do.
It's amazing. Go you.
And this is our favorite thing that we do, honestly, like getting to tell people's stories and like get their word out.
Yep.
Yeah, I love your takeovers.
Thank you.
The bossy Instagram account takeovers. I'm like, first of all, that's genius.
I should probably put another one up.
Yeah,
I'll work on that this afternoon.
It's genius. It's a genius because then you have content.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. So
it's
on
like
a
a
marketing
week off.
level, it's genius.
Like, I got off this week.
Yeah, it helps people. You are able to get their audience as well,
right.
which I love. So, I mean, and it's a great hub so that they're not only seeing you as a business, but you're giving other people an outlet to promote. So, very cool.
Well, thank
Bossy
you.
on Instagram.
How do we find you?
I am It Girl Friday on everything, with my other businesses being IGF Marketing on Instagram and Local Influencer Tour on Instagram. And same for the websites. So itgirlfriday.com, localinfluencertour.com. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I love talking to you.
I love talking to you guys. Well, and I want in when you make the donut margarita.
Yeah. Yes. Got it. It's on my list.
Give me in on
I've
that.
got
Gabby Donuts right in the top corner. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
What a fun episode. I hope you all learned as much as Kelly and I have learned over the years being a friend and just a friend of Hope's and learning and just absorbing all of her information.
She's fascinating. I love that she says to ignore those DMs.
You know, it's tough though. If you don't know that and you look at some of these things, you're like, oh my God, this person has so many followers or so many likes. And it's like, what do they say? If grass is always greener, usually because it's fake, like it's just not real. Yeah.
It's AstroTurf, and it's not going to help your algorithm.
No, not at all.
Those bots are
Excellent.
smart.
They really are. They really are. So hope you learned a lot. If not, or you want to learn more, come to Focus and Fortify this March 11th and 12th, 18th and 19th in Rochester, New York. You will hear her and so many other small business owners talk about their knowledge and what they've done and share these amazing bits of information with you to help your small business.
Tickets are available, bossyrock.com, BOSSYROC.com. And can I walk Hope's pigeon? Do you think she'd let me?
I think she will let you do anything with that pigeon. That pigeon sounds amazing.
She recently posted a picture of the pigeon,
Did she?
I never realized how pretty they are. I always thought they were just gray.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow her feed, it's got like rainbows and purples and blues. And I was like, wow, your pigeon's really pretty.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up when we're done.
Yeah, don't let Harper know that I want to walk a pigeon, because next thing she'll
You're going to want a
to
pigeon.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't say
We're
it
not
around her.
Pigs and snakes and lizards, and no, it'll be a pigeon.
Yep. I mean, it sounds like a pigeon is a great pet, though. You may want to consider it over some of the other ones.
I know, right? Ah.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Be bold.
Be brave.
Be the boss.
Be the boss.